Hello, everybody, and welcome to the July edition of the Impact Advantage. And I'm going to really be stepping on it this morning because we've got Bob Perry from Health and Transportation with us, and he has got quite a bit to share with us. And he's going to talk about driver health and the missing piece. But before we get into that, I, of course, want to always thank HireRight and Ramsey Media Works for their support of the Impact Advantage and sharing this with their clients, and which helps with, of course, the large number of registrants that we get every month to this webinar. And so I really appreciate their help and their continued support. And secondly, I just want to let's just go ahead and go to the next slide, and if I can get my thing to there we go. To cooperate and introduce Bob to you. And Bob is the founder of Rolling Strong, and that's where I initially met Bob, and I bet it's been over 10 years ago. I was at an event, I think it was in Pennsylvania. Yeah, at least. And it was I think it was Pennsylvania, Bob, and I walked by and met you and started learning about what you do, and it's just amazing. You were, frankly, a lot of folks just don't think about driver wellness as much as we should, and you're going to be showing us today why we should. And I think it's really starting to get more and more legs now, where people are realizing a lot of the folks they can't recruit. They can't recruit because of driver wellness. A lot of drivers they lose for the same reason. So if we can get proactive and address this, we can have a profound effect on the lives of those folks that we're helping, and also increase our recruiting numbers. Bob is the speaker at numerous national medias, including Fox News and CNN and such. So cable events, but also ATA, TCA, and many state association and insurance events as well. He co-developed with Freightliner the FIT system, and you can actually order this. You can spec it out on your truck, and it's a workout system that is all within the truck, so it gives your drivers an opportunity to work out. Of course, he's a consultant, as you can see there, and he's helping to launch Fit TV, which is going to be a 24-hour health and fitness channel. That is going to be cool. So, Bob, I'm really glad to have you on with us this morning. I'm going to flip a couple keys right, and I should have your deck up, and you should be able to start driving the screens. But without further ado, Bob, appreciate you coming with us and share with us what you have.
Thank you very much, Scott. I appreciate it. Always good to talk to you, my friend. And thanks, everyone, for listening in. I know driver health, wellness is always not at the top of everybody's radar to tune into, even though it is gain a lot of national exposure and more awareness all the time. But it's like I refer to it, the missing piece is because there's so many things that are on your desk today that you got to accomplish. Number one, move freight, and also how do you do this? How do you solve the driver health and wellness issue and help get there's a lot of herding cats, right? I mean, it's a mobile population. We know it. We know it's the right thing to do. We want to do it, but how do you do it? And hopefully today I can give you some ideas and information and direction on where there's a lot of programs out there available. They're absolutely free for you to take advantage of and help. And at the end of the day, I'm hoping that you'll do something instead of really nothing, and give these men and women every opportunity we can to be successful. So we'll go. Oops. Kelly, my screen's not moving here.
That's weird. We were doing it a minute ago.
Yeah.
Did you hit the button? You've got the keyboard.
Yeah.
I can do it in a second, but I'd sure like to have you do it.
Yeah. For some reason,
All right.
when we switch to the slides, it's not allowing me to. There we go.
Okay.
Next one now.
All right.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. So let's first talk about briefly today's transportation market. Would you agree there's a strong economy, abundance of freight going on, strong truck sales, and advancement in technology? all these things, when I look at them, and I still make regular visits around the country each week to orientations and talk to fleet operators and owners as well. And these are all the things that we always seem to want to talk about. And fortunately for us in transportation, all of these things are running very strong for us right now. But the thing I always hear the most is, of course, that the reason why, and hopefully a lot of you are on here today, is how do you fight this issue of driver shortage? And how can we keep up with drivers in the seat? Go ahead, Kelly. Technology. This is always something interesting as well, is that if you look at just these 4 bullet points I put down here, the money we spend and what this new technology has brought us, from lane departures to camera systems to the ELDs and collision avoidance systems, all these things we spend thousands of dollars on to put on the truck for one purpose, and that is, of course, better returns, but more importantly is to help keep that truck between the lines. But what about the driver? What are we really doing to help these men and women secure their personal health out there, and to be able to manage their health and stay alert? Because you can still have all these technology instruments in play, but at the end of the day, you still are relying on a human being behind that wheel. And I wanted to get into it, because I know we have limited time, but the recruiting current model today, right? It's your typical radio, print, company trailer ads you see on the back of the trailers, banners outside company sites. It's just something I really notice a lot of time when I'm traveling around the country each week, and I'm driving around, and I drive down the industrial roads where I'm going to visit a different fleet to give a driver orientation, and you pass all the different carriers, and they all have banners out, right? CDL drivers wanted, looking. And I spent a lot of time cruising a lot of the unemployment sites just to get a feel for employment opportunities out there in the marketplace, to help give a gauge. And it's amazing. Always the top ads that come up are CDL drivers. Everybody is in abundance. Or spend a lot of recruiting dollars, right? And to find those drivers to fill those seats. And I just recently, been spending several weeks on a project I'm working on that we're going to talk about. And so in conjunction with that, if you look at all those numbers that are up on the screen now about the driver research, and this is for the National Registry of Certified Medical Examiners. This is public information that you can get. These are numbers, I know Kelly and I talked about this quite a bit, that they're just astounding. If you look at the total numbers of drivers of exams given, and then if you start going down and you look at the number of 2-year cards, the number of 1-year cards, and look at the number of 3-month cards that were given out, almost 1 million. You have almost 1 million skilled drivers out there potentially that we have lost, because if you just put yourself in that position, and if you're a non-driver, if you went to your doctor, as I refer to somebody in the residential sector when you're not a professional CDL holder, and you go in to see your doctor, and Dr. Kelly says, you know what, Bob, he said, you really have to improve your bio values. I need for you to really, in the next 90 days, you come back to see me, I need to see you, lower those blood pressure numbers, lower those sugar numbers. I'm worried that you're on the border of being for a sleep apnea test. That alone, just somebody that has access to manage it on a daily basis, is a pretty tough task to accomplish in 90 days, unless you really are focused and you have a lot of support to help. Now, you take a professional truck or bus driver who's living on the road, and they've got 90 days. Just the anxiety alone for them to have the pressure of every day knowing that 90 days is went to 85 days, to 80 days, to 75 days, that they've got to make a change. It's overwhelming. We can't expect them to do it. So that's why the numbers, which I've asked, requested, but they just don't have the resources, I'm very curious to see what that number is at the end of that 90 days, how many people really have been able to change and move the curve. So if you look at that, as I say, is that a lot, and once again, Kelly and I talk about recruiting is through really the new retention. Okay, Kelly. So if you look at industry averages, they publish, and I talk to different companies, $8,500, to put somebody in the seat, 90% turnover rates in a lot of these companies that I visit with. I've heard from a lot of the large carriers out there, depending on, what their pool size is, driver pool size, they can run, $500,000 a year to several $1 million a year on advertising. I mean, just imagine if we took a small percentage of that number, whatever it is, and directed those dollars to rewarding drivers to achieve reward and to achieve, being able to keep a longer CDL license, recertification. I mean, much like we reward, several fleets I work with, they have fuel reward programs, right? When you manage and get good fuel programs, that saves the company money. There's rewards that they can get, everything from going online to getting, certificates, gifts, and so forth. Why do we not do the same for drivers, for rewarding them for passing their CDL, getting a longer term card, taking, control of their life? And imagine if we were rewarding from that, directing some of those dollars. I see it all the time. I mean, one particular fleet I was with not too long ago, they have out of their driver pool, over 50% of their drivers have 1-year cards. So, when you get to a 1-year card, I think people on here, they're on safety, that what that means, pre-hypertensive, pre-diabetic, those type of things that are going to take you to a 1-year card, mean you got to make a change. And if they don't, then they're dropped down to a 90-day card. And here's what I want to take you into, where to look. And these are methodologies that I've had success with over the years when I did launch. And as Kelly said, we met, I had a company called Rolling Strong, which was acquired about 18 months ago. But that's where a lot of these methodologies were proven and worked with. And here's where you need to really look. These are things that you can take on your own and do internally. A lot of times people think when you have a driver put in a wellness program, for whether it's your employees or your drivers, that you have to put on a hospital wing. And that's not the case. There are things that you can really do, such as look at the drivers that are 120 days away from their recertification. Help them make small changes. Get them information. There's a lot of free nutritional guide information out there that you can help them with, to drive awareness, to help them feel comfortable and confident, and give them every opportunity to pass when they go in for the recertification. Change the way we feed our drivers. I see this all the time. I go in and from these orientations, and gosh, they look like a pizza factory. The meals we feed them, and I tell safety folks all the time, you can't be, and I realize that you want the drivers to like you and they're coming there and you feel like the comfort food, but this is a grand opportunity to give these men and women education on, when you get out there on the road, here's better choices to make. You can't feed them that crap today and be the drug dealer, and then 90 days later, 120 days later, you're busting them because they can't pass their recertification.
Bob, I'd like to interject here.
Sure.
And folks, I got to tell you, I was standing in a food line. I've been at conferences with Bob and standing in a food line, and so when you're getting food and Bob's standing next to you, you want to be on your best behavior. And more so, and I'm just kidding about that part, but I was trying, and you remember this, Bob? I went through the line and I got my food, and I was trying to make the right choices. And I said, Bob, how did I do? And Bob kind of looked at me and said, dude, that's a bunch of trash, something like that. And I just said to Bob with aggravation, I said, Bob, I want to eat right. I just don't know how to. I don't know what the right choices are. And so I really appreciate what you're saying, because this is our opportunity. Maybe it's part of what we talk about in orientation, about hey guys, this is good food, this is bad food, this is what this food does to your body. Recently, I think I shared this with you, Bob. I met a person. He made it real simple for me. He says, Kelly, if you want to lose some weight, eat above ground vegetables, whatever protein you want, and limit your carbs. And I got my mind wrapped around that, and it was pretty effective on that. But maybe that's not a good long-term plan. I don't know. You can key in. But Bob, I'm sorry. I just wanted to kind of interact with you on this and say, I think part of the issue, folks, is how many of us really know how to eat and how to eat well. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, thank you. No, those are valid points because I've done an orientation. This is, just recently, 15 drivers in a room, 14 male, 1 female. And before they started that day's orientation, they said, okay, here's the menu, get ready to mark your lunch. And they hand out a Domino's pizza menu. And drivers, all you can get, you can't get a large, you get a medium pizza. If anybody ever seen a medium pizza from Domino's, I mean, it's big. And here's your drink selection. They named off every drink you could imagine except water. And the price point was average somewhere between $7 to $8.50 per driver was their budget to feed them for the meal. And right away, I mean, I went to him and said, listen, let's just observe here in about 45 minutes to an hour what the room has looked like. And sure enough, within 45 minutes, drivers were bobbing and weaving, nodding off because of what they ate. And they're trying to take them through all the critical highlight points of driver orientation, all the safety measures. So, which means is that safety, of course, we know is key. It's number one, but you can't be safe if you're not well. And I'm just trying to stress that this is a key time. You're spending money anyway. Look at what your opportunities are there to give them something better and use it as education. Let them know that ABC Company, we care about your health. We want you to be safe out there. And here are some foods that you can eat better. Now, we're not asking them all to be, to do this 100% of the time, but the model I follow is 50% of the time will make a difference. And it's simply said, better food, better outcomes when they do their screenings. Agility testing is another one. And for those who do agility testing, there's ways that you can help them through and coach them when they're doing agility testing. And here's some findings I did. These numbers were vetted out by a vice president of risk management for a company that I did a program with. In 8 months, this is staggering. 8 months, 61 drivers were saved from failed agility tests and elevated blood pressure and sugar readings. 35 of those drivers saved from pre-research coaching. I mean, if you do the math, I mean, at $8,500 or higher, at 96 drivers saved. I mean, these are real numbers. I mean, how many of us, if I was to pose, or Kelly, because that's his space, if Kelly would say, ABC Company, would you rather me send you 96 proven, skilled drivers, or would you rather go out here and spend X amount of dollars and let me recruit you 96 drivers you know nothing about? I mean, the obvious answer would be you'd rather have those skilled drivers. Well, we have them. They're right there in your own pool if we just do a better job of taking care of them. Solutions. Make it simple for the drivers to make changes. Provide basic nutrition, exercise, information, education. Look to contract with a wellness coach. There's a lot of wellness coaches out there in your area. It's not a lot of money to hire someone on site to come in there 1 day a week, 4 or 5 hours a day to do that. Install, we've all seen a lot of these, and there's now really a lot of great sophisticated ones out there. And if you need help identifying those, please reach out to me. I'd be glad to help you identify those. But self-administrated health check stations where drivers can go in there. And believe me, I can tell you, when those drivers say, I'm not going to get on that thing, when you're not around, the lights go out, they're the first ones to get on there because they do want to understand where they're at. They do know it makes a difference. Right now, there's a free CDL driver prevention diabetes program going off in the see. They've gotten a federal grant. I'm working with them. So once again, if anybody has interest, you can reach out to me. I can make the connection. You can actually put your drivers in a free program and actually have access to a free diabetes educator to help these men and women from becoming diabetic. Review your medical plans. This is something that I learned not too long ago, that in your medical plan, since the new medical issues were out, a lot of the medical plans do provide a registered dietitian. It used to be that your employees had to go to an office, but now the rules have changed, and this is part of the new Healthcare Act. Whoever your carrier is, I suggest that you reach out to them and find out if that's in your medical plan. And people have access to anywhere from 2 to 10 visits a year to talk to a registered dietitian. If you need help with that, I can assist you with that too. I know coaches around the country that are part of the registered dietitian program. They're licensed to give this kind of support and help. So there are some free solutions that you can really put into play, that you can do some things to make a difference. In closing, we can't, like I said earlier, we can't expect our drivers to be safe if they're not healthy. And the last, plea I always end with is, please do something. Driver shortage is more than just that. It's really a shortage of vision to do things differently. And we really can. Everything else has changed. We've upgraded our technology. Why not upgrade the awareness and the services and the benefits that we give to our drivers, because they are America's most valuable resource. Thanks, Kelly.
Man, Bob, thank you very much. And folks, we've got 8 minutes left, and I've got the box open looking for questions from you. We've got Bob on the phone with us. He's the national expert in this thing, and with driver health. And if you have any questions you'd like to pose to Bob now, please. Once the doctor told me I had high cholesterol, and he threw a book at me, and I've never read that book. I'm just saying, it's I started looking at it, and to me it was confusing, and I need it easy, I guess. There's a lot of things I study, dive deep into, but throwing a big old book and saying read this and you learn how to do it was I'm just being honest with everybody. It was further than I was willing to go. Whereas once I was having a conversation with the person, and they're like, hey, listen, if you do this, this, and this, then that'll lower your weight, it'll lower your cholesterol, lower your tendency toward diabetes, and boom. And I got my mind wrapped around that, and it's been working very well for me.
Yeah, and it really is. It's amazing. One of the statistics that people are always shocked to hear that we tracked for many years is the drivers, the average number of calories they consume a day is over 4,000, close to 4,500. And man, that is from drinks, sugar drinks. So very simply said, if you help a driver make a change through a week and lower anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 calories of intake per week, which isn't hard to do when you're consuming 4,500 a day, you're going to see a difference. And this is the other value proposition in this, that you will see when you drop 10 pounds is our benchmark. You lose 10 pounds, and when you lose 10 pounds, you'll see your numbers start to change. Your heart rate goes down, your blood pressure, your sugar numbers drop. And when I was with this last class, out of those, I told you about the 15 drivers, 80% of those folks were close to 300 pounds. So the thought of someone that weighs 300 pounds to lose weight is pretty struggling. But you don't talk about that. You just talk about, give me 10 pounds. That's all I want you to do, Mr. or Mrs. Driver. Let me help you lose 10 pounds. You lose 10 pounds, they're going to see a difference. And they're going to feel a difference. And then in 6 months, they're going to look in the mirror and they're going to say, wow, I see a difference physically.
Well, and that 10 pounds, I got to believe, is actually pretty quick to lose, and it gives them a chance of, for the first time in their life, actually losing weight instead of putting it on. The other day I was at a place and I saw this, and I got 2 questions coming, so I'll make this quick so you can answer these questions. I saw these two obese parents, and they had two obese young children. And I just thought to myself, they don't know how to eat. They're feeding those kids exactly as they eat, and there it is. Hey, I got two questions from the audience, Bob. One is, I like the idea of rewarding drivers for passing the CDL health test. What type of reward structure have you seen and/or suggest?
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you highlight that. And you know what? I'm sad to say, I haven't seen any. Nothing. So this is new ground, and someone can be a new pioneer and a trendsetter. Logic says that what people like is dollars. To be able to give them look at the numbers. What it costs you to put someone in the seat? Would it not be worth you when someone goes and gets a water CDL with $100 gift card, $200 gift card, break the bank? But you could keep that person from losing them. Kelly, you know the numbers better than anybody, right? Would you trade a $200 gift card to keep Bob with you, opposed to spending $8,500 to hire Joe, who you know nothing about?
Absolutely. And the other thing, and I think this will go to Rosemary's question as well. She says, I find it difficult to get drivers involved in participating with wellness programs and options. Do you have any suggestions to get them to participate? I'm going to kind of start on this answer, then let Bob take over. But drivers, people like money. That's always helpful. And the other side is people like recognition. And I think about the fuel mileage program we had that showed 6.5 miles per gallon average 3 months. And then for 6 months, and then 9 months, 12 months, and then we also had the 7 miles and 7.5 and 8 miles, and the drivers and as I was saying that, if I had my camera on, you could see I'm pointing at on my shoulder, because drivers would stitch those what do you call them patches on their jacket. We also had it for their truck, and they would put the decals on their truck. Well, what if we had a wellness type of recognition program, maybe talking about the weight they've lost, and they get, I don't know, this is totally from the hip, but the weight they've lost and little patches on it, or the months involved in the program, and it's part of a healthy trucker program. Anyway, go ahead, Bob.
You're exactly right. And I endorse that program completely, because it's very interesting when you first go on site and you launch this program. The drivers are always, much to the young lady's question about getting them engaged. Oh no, no way, man! I'm not going to let you take my reins, because they're afraid they're going to run back and tell Kelly, the safety director, right? And they're going to be taken off the road. It is amazing that as soon as they lose 25 pounds, and you say, Kelly, would you mind being an ambassador for me? Can I take your picture? And heck yeah, because they want the recognition. And we had a program called Driver Wellness Ambassador, just like what you said. They got a patch. They could put on their jacket. They could get a jean jacket with a patch. They got a decal that went on the side of the truck. They become ambassadors. They did get a gift card, but their personal recognition meant a lot. And I think, Kelly, it would be wonderful somehow we work together to get a program like this out there to recognize these men and women who do make a change. Just think about the traveling billboards. All you folks that out there are looking to recruit drivers, imagine if you had some type of little notability on there that we care about our driver's health. Here's Bob driving, lost 50 pounds. There's powerful messages you can do. And I think it was Rosemary's question about engagement. You're right. Engagement is tough, but all it takes is one poster kid. You just get one poster child, and they will start a grassroots campaign, and to get more people involved. I promise you. And if you're my email, reach out to me. I'll be glad to give you some hints and tips and information on how to do that. Absolutely. And Bob is available to come work with your company, put together this type of program for you. It has a retention benefit. It has a recruiting benefit. And so I hope that you folks reach out to Bob
and let them help you and help these drivers and really help their families. And you know, from a safety standpoint, when you see some person that's way overweight, do we really think that they're doing a proper pre-trip inspection? Do we really think that they're going to climb up in the back of that trailer and secure that load the way it's supposed to be done? They just are going to get to the point where they don't have the energy, don't have the strength, don't have the ability, and they're not going to do it. And that is dangerous for us at multiple levels. Want to give a shout out to Harry. Harry with AIG's on the call today. Harry, good to see you, sir. I see Amanda from Phoenix. Eric, see you as well. And Jason, thanks for your question as well, sir. Bob, thank you for taking your time for bring this presentation. I hope that your phone starts ringing here immediately. And this presentation is going to be available on our on my website probably yet today, with all the past Impact Advantage recordings that we've done. Next month's Impact Advantage will be at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, August 29th. And folks, with that, this concludes the call. Thank you so much for participating. We don't take it lightly. And with that, goodbye.